Thing. Great. Hello. So welcome. And I have one of my mentors and incredible upline from the States, Buz Kroner, and him and his wife Maureen have been in the business for a number of years. Uh, and Buz, right from the beginning, when I joined the business, in those early days as a 24-year-old, you were part of the legend that, really inspired us. And I remember whenever we would go to conventions in the US, it'd be like, oh, there's Buz and, there's John McClelland. And at those days, having mentors and people that have treaded the path before you is just so important. So, yeah, I really want to thank you for always being an inspiration and for being willing to give up your time. We are very deep in your business. And so just really grateful to pick your brain. So Buz had an incredible, well, continues to have, but had an incredible success in the early days and through the social media explosion. And I'll be able to share with you some of the things that Buz experienced there. But what we've got the privilege to pick Buz's brains on is what now? Prism. Where is social media now? What are his top tips? So, Buz, I would love to just get you started with, or just, really socials, Prism coming together, and what are your top tips for building right now? And how do you see social media as being such an advantage for those who choose to really, yeah, harness that tool?
Yeah, Kirsty, thanks for inviting me, and it's a great question. And I think we all go through that. And we've been involved with Nu Skin for 36 years, and we've gone through so many different changes. I mean, life changes. I was in the Wendy's hamburger business for 19 years, and it changed. The menu changed, the environment changed. So the key is can you adjust and can you recognize the changes, and are you willing to make the changes? And so my first 25 years, I did it one way. I did it the traditional way with some great mentors of the likes of Nathan Ricks and Craig, the founders. And they were just so inspirational to me. And heck, I had no experience in this industry before. So I just had to listen, learn to get better so I could teach and lead it. So, and after 25 years in the business, I mentioned to you on the pre-call here, I had a defining moment, and that is I could see that the things were changing, and it was going to social, but I didn't understand social at all. And so after evaluating it, and because these ladies were doing so well, not compared to, I couldn't compare it to anything else. It was so mind blowing. So it was, I used the word, I had to surrender because I didn't understand social. But, I just learned in business, the great quote is vision is the art of seeing the invisible. So most people don't see things that are going on. And I just learned overall over the many decades in business is that keep your antennas up because it's identifying opportunities is the first thing and then taking action. But most people don't even see it. And then they years later say, oh, I could have, should have, would have. And and I've done that times in my life and just said, gosh, it was there. I looked at it, but I didn't see it for what it was, or I didn't take action. So I saw what was happening with the ladies out of the UK. They were blowing it up, and they brought them over the USA 2 years in a row for conventions. And the first year I laughed at them in 2015, but in 2016, the president of the company, Scott Swert, who I know Kirsty knows well, and 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 he said how well they were doing, and I could not believe it when he threw out the number. I said, "No, there's no way," and he said, "Yes, way. I'm serious as a heart attack." And so I just made a moment. I had a moment, and I just said, "Okay, figure it out." So here's what I figured out. I went out and searched the people that were having success. I wanted to develop a profile. Who were they? What are they? You know, when we sell, let's say we sell a man's product, what are you going to go? You're looking for men. If you're selling a woman's product, you look for women. Well, if I'm selling hamburgers, well, who am I selling to? if I want the children, I got to bring in kids meals. So I just knew over the years, identify who your market is and then build your products and your training around that. So here's what I found out. They were 99.999% women. They were aged 25 to 45. That most of them had small, young children, and they were active on social media. And what they were posting was interesting, not silly. And they were the ones who were having success. They were more classy than not so classy. And because I would look at both people and I said, why are these? And so I got a profile and so went out. My wife Maureen and another woman about our age, and this was in March 1st of 2017. So we're just hit 9 years and maybe a month and a half of doing social. And the things that we didn't know was we didn't know how to do anything on social. Then it was primarily Facebook, but now it's Instagram, it's TikTok, and others. But those are the main these days. But what we needed to do was figure out how they were having success. So, and then next thing you know, we found some people that fit that profile. And then we started getting them to that. They naturally went after those people. But Kirsty, it was really interesting. You said when you started, you were 24. I think you said. I will tell you, it's the same market back then. It was the baby boomers, all right, and then I think they were the Gen X or yeah, then came millennials. But if you look at the people you mentioned, we were all 25 to 45. We were closer to 35 than anything, but we were primarily men in the skincare business. But we fit that age group. That's the age group where people, and I want to make it very clear. We recruit people who are older than 45, 55, 60. We recruit people that are younger than 25 and 20. But the sweet spot has always been in this industry that 25 to 45. But if you're not in that category, especially if you're older, don't think for a moment that you can't participate. Because when I started 9 years ago, I was in my 60s. All right. So if you're not 25 to 45, well, all of us, the three of us, my wife and Jolynn, the three of us were in our 60s. We knew it wasn't going to be us. Yes, there were some our age, but we knew who they were, so we were going to go and find those people. So, Kirsty, does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, I love that. It's like, yeah, you go and look for, who is going to make the biggest impact in your business, rather than being stuck thinking I can't do this, or, it's not in my wheelhouse. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Because see, and it's a really good point because I didn't belong in the social arena. I didn't fit any of the things. I wasn't a woman. I wasn't somebody 25 to 45. I didn't have small, young children. I didn't. I wasn't active on social, and I wasn't posting anything. Heck, I had like 250 friends. It was family and new skin people. So I didn't fit any of it. But that didn't mean I couldn't do it. It means I just had to find those people. When we over the years, when we had the weight management product, all right, that was a different market. Then we had products for protein and that we would go to gyms, and I mean we went to the scanners. We took the doctors' offices and then to health clubs. So we identified the market. So, but here's the big thing that I saw and I was excited about. The first 25 years, I did it the traditional way, and that is I was going to go after successful men and women who were already successful. They were already owners of their own business. They had already, I didn't want the waitress. I wanted the owner. I didn't want the bank teller. I wanted the bank manager. So I was looking for top down, and I had great success with it. And I know you and Paul did also. Um, and, but I saw something different with social. Think about a football stadium, whether it's soccer or American football, 100,000 people in the stadium. Okay. What we would recruit are the people in the box seats, which is about 5,000, 10,000 of the 100,000. So 5,000 to 10,000. I saw with social, I could get the other 90,000 people because the products and because most of the people in the box seats would maybe buy my products, but there was not a real need for them to do the business. The people up in the stadium, they have a need to fix their pocketbook issues. I need more money for a house, a car, and groceries and medical bills. And I want more time with my children. I want more time with my spouse. Those are the people in the box seat have that. And I saw all of a sudden that I get to go after the whole entire stadium. I can still get the box seats, but I just picked up 80 to 90,000 people. And that was an adrenaline rush for me. And we saw that. And the social enabled us to go out. Kirsty, when we started, I'm sure you were told, as I was told, to go out and make a list before social, make a list of your friends, family, people you know, people you went to school with, people you go to church with, people I'm on the swim team with, uh, and people that were in my Wendy's that were our produce provider, our meat provider, our lawyers, our real estate people. I made that list, and it was really hard to come up with 200 names. But the difference in social, these ladies we were talking to had 2 to 3,000 people. It was 10 times bigger or better. So when Sally and Jody put out something, she wasn't calling 1 or 5 or 10 of their people a day. She was talking. All of them weren't looking at her every time. But I knew that her fishing pond. I always think about, we have a pond in our backyard, and there's a certain amount of fish in it. I may have 200 fish. You may have 300 fish, but most likely you don't have 2,000 fish in your pond. But these ladies came in with 2 to 5,000 fish in their pond. And it was just the most thrilling thing I've ever experienced. So instead of sponsoring 5 or 10 or 100, we were sponsoring thousands. And over the first 9 months, we sponsored 5,000 people off of just the social team. So that was when I knew we were on to something. And now, of course, social isn't exactly the same as it was 9 years ago. The algorithm has changed, but still, Sally and Jody still have 2, 3, 5,000 friends, and now they're doing it on multiple platforms. So that to me is I think we are still now have the opportunity, and why I'm still excited about it. No matter what we're doing, is that we have the opportunity to get everybody in the football stadium, where we didn't have that before. Now, you and I talked about the Prism, and now what we're doing is we're working on a hybrid. And what I mean is, how do you blend the two together? Before, what we did traditionally, it was high touch. There was not any high tech. It was high touch. Everything we did was a phone, having meetings, coffee, and so on. And then we went over here to social, and there was no high touch. It was all high tech. There was no going to meetings. There was no having coffee. There was no having lunch. There was no going to hotel meeting. It was all done behind a screen like we are right now. Yeah. And so now what we're doing, because the Prism comes along, and I've been dealing with the Prism now for probably 10 months, because I got the beta versions for about 5 or 6 months, and we've had this now for November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, so 5 months, and 5 months before, so 10 months. And when this came along, I just knew we were on to something, but I was going to have to figure out how I'm going to teach these high tech people to blend high touch.
Yeah.
because you can't scan over the screen. You need their finger on it, and you need to have more conversations and versus just sending a message through Messenger. So that's what we're working on right now. And I guess it's a little bit more difficult than I thought it was because the people who are high tech, um, we have to move them in slowly, and not scare them off because we're asking them to do things that they were not doing for the last 2 years, 5 years, and 9 years. And then because it's the same way with the high touch people couldn't migrate to the social because it was so different. So I think the people who are going to be the most successful are the ones who can blend those two things together, because that's where I think the future is the high touch people can learn high tech, bring people on, and the high tech people can find people who love to go out and have coffee, who love to talk to people, to do an assessment, and really change the health of their friends, their contacts, and their family. So I'm really encouraged on what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think that we all have we have a lot to learn, but anyway. So what questions do you have?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think what I get out of that, and it is, as you said, it's the same no matter what chapter of the business we're in, is look for the people that are stereotypically going to bring you the most success. So in the old
Mm-hmm.
days, that was, the higher successful people, professionals, people that are natural leaders. So yeah, I really love that. And so even in this hybrid model, we're still looking for that profile, aren't we? Because you'd rather have someone who has a large network of people versus someone who has a small network of people. I mean, we want to
Mm-hmm.
we want to offer the opportunity to everybody, but if you're spending time, you want to be intentional about the kind of people that you're prospecting, that you want to attract into your business. So, okay, so one of my questions is for you personally. I see you and Maureen posting, um, and what I have learned about socials is it's so important to have our pillars. If you're posting, if you're being attractive to who you want to attract into your business. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I know about you two and see actually on your posting is it's fun, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
fun, it's positive, it's lifestyle, it's having fun together. I'd just love to know, what your top tips are, at the moment. I know we're in this bit of a crossover of bringing this hybrid together of prospecting, recruiting for Prism. Are you doing both on socials? Are you also doing offline? And how do you personally bring the two together? What are your top tips for your own personal social?
Well, and it's interesting, and the Prism is bringing me back in a different way. We were so successful, and we continue to be successful with products that have a reasonable price, low entry price points, before and after pictures, and have a retail price point, retail profit. And so we basically have four pillars. And if you remember our early days, products need to be unique, visual, emotionally,
Mm,
highly consumable. Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's pretty much the same. Is the products that we promote. First off, it has to have a retail profit to it, and at least a $10. And that was hard to get people to hold to because we never really had the retail profit before. So if you're selling lower priced products like toothpaste and Instaglow and Dramatic Effects, and those are all products that are priced 25 US dollars to 50 US dollars. They're not 100 US dollars or more. And
Mm,
because people, if the price points, if you want to go after the masses in the stadium, they don't have a lot of money. A lot of times they don't know you real well. If they know you better, they'll trust you, but they're not going to just give you their credit card or work off of a link. So, and then once they do buy the product, can I show them how to make $100 to $200? And that was the model we have and we still have with social. And that didn't work well for me as a man promoting skincare on social media. It didn't work. Maureen could do it better than I, but it was really more of a 25 to 45-year-old. So we had to teach them how to do it. What I branded myself as is that I am a mentor, a coach for women who want to build a business. Women who want to make $100 to $200, people want to make $200 to $5,000 a month or more. And that's where I became that person and created that, knowing that I was not going to attract women who wanted to buy skincare products from a man who's a grandpa. Okay. So I knew that. Now, the Prism is a different story because I'm into health and fitness, and nutrition is my passion. If anybody follows me, they know I'm a competitive swimmer. And I compete at the city and state and the national level in the United States. So if you see me posted, I'm out there and I have my Prism. And my saying, Maureen and I post, wherever we go, the Prism goes. We're at a restaurant, I'm at a swim meet, I'm pulling out my Prism and I'm taking a photo. People are now coming to me. They know I'm into fitness. They know I'm healthy. They know I'm a competitive swimmer. I have hundreds on my wall here, hundreds upon hundreds of medals. And so I posted those over the years because you want to promote lifestyles. Who are you? If you look underneath my name, it says I'm a family man, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a swimmer. So you'll see me promoting my business. You'll see me promoting my family. You'll see me promoting my swimming events. So when when the Prism came out, I said, oh my gosh, this is a natural for me because I'm already into health and fitness. And by the way, every time I put my finger on this, I score 1,000.
Congratulations,
Which is
amazing.
the highest you can get, and it's so rare that we have anybody hit that. So I'm a walking testimony of that, and everybody can do that. Everybody can be a walking testimony, even if your number starts out at 200 and it goes to 300. That's your story, and then eventually it goes to 500. The first time I scanned on the scanner back in 2003, I scanned to equivalent of 250 points. It was pathetic. But so this is where the hybrid comes in. So my advice is that no matter where you are, if you are an entrepreneur and you're in the fitness, you go right at the Prism. If you're a younger person and you're not into fitness right now, but you're looking to make $100 to $200 US dollars a month, boy, I can show you how to do that, but just by posting and showing people how you can make $10 a tube. You sell a tube of toothpaste, a tube of Instaglow, a tube of dramatic effects. You're making at least $10. Well, one a day, there's 300 US dollars you just made. 10 US dollars a day. 30, just one a day. Well, people were selling 2 and 5 and 10 a day. So that's where what we got good at is what was the word tracking for the stay-at-home mom, the working mom, the single mom who was looking for extra money. And this is one of the things that I learned. And this is so I was in the business for 3 months, and every time someone hit three to $500 in volume, I did a training call, an upgrade call. Okay, I'm going to tell you now how to become an executive, a brand rep. Kirsty, I was doing 5 to 10 calls a day, whether it was one person or 20 people on the call. And usually there were 3 to 5 people when I would ask them the following question. What made you stop when you were doing the 1-second flip? It was the before and after pictures. What made you decide to buy the product? It was affordable. What made you decide to join the business? And it was because I could make $100 to $200. And then that one night, there were 5 ladies on the call, and I asked them a question. And in business, I learned a long time ago, never ask a question you don't already know the answer. I did not know the answer to this question, but I needed to know. What are you going to do with $500? Because all of these ladies had become an executive. They
Mm,
already had 10 to 50 people on their team, and they were making well over, let's just say $500 to $2,000. And I said, what were you going to do? I thought they would say, I wanted to go to the spa or I wanted to buy a purse. I missed it. I totally missed it. And I tell you the story right now, and I get goosebumps again. Not one of those five ladies said it was anything for themselves. It was
mm,
for their kids.
yeah.
And it was like, I can tell you what they said. Um, I'm going to go on vacation. And for once, I'd like to have extra money that I could take my kids on rides or something. My daughter needs braces, or my son needs glasses, or my husband's working so hard. I would like to contribute. It was just like, it was family. It was like, oh my gosh, I said, I just hit the gold mine. And that
Mm,
became our story.
yeah.
That became our story, that we can help you with groceries. I'd like to go to a grocery store and not have to count everything before I check out. I mean,
Mm,
these were heart-wrenching stories, and I knew we were sitting on a gold mine.
yeah.
So we worked, and all of our training was around that, and our recognition was around that, and we recognized people um, for a block, 500 points.
Mm,
We would do a recognition post. We recognize people, and then Maureen would send out a little gift in a handwritten note. She was sending out 250 packages, notes with a little tiny little gift. It was usually mascara, another product that they wouldn't have tried yet, and this most beautiful personalized note. And these ladies were coming back and saying, you know what? I've been working for this bank or this guy. I don't even like my boss. I don't get a birthday card. I don't get a Christmas gift. I get nothing. And you people are recognizing me for everything. So it was another thing that we lit up about. So anyway, so I just um, as in the beginning, I just said to myself,
yeah.
Buzz, figure it out. And
Yeah.
so and now that we got two different ways to do it, how do you cross over and do the hybrid?
Yeah. I love that. And I also got goosebumps when you shared that about, the women saying no, it was nothing for themselves. It was for other people. And that recognition piece. And again, I think what I've noticed coming back into the business after stepping back and homeschooling my kids for such a long time, I really miss that social media piece. But since I've come back in and I've been diving into that hybrid of it, the business fundamentals never change. And something like recognition and a community and a place to belong, um, and really giving people a hand up, showing them a way that they can make that difference in their life and allowing them to just dare to dream. Those fundamentals, they never change, do they?
No, they don't.
No matter,
But
no, yeah, go ahead.
and I think it's more important now because in social media, even though it's so wonderful, it has drawbacks. It doesn't help with a high touch, the
Yeah,
personal. And so I was doing these calls day in and day out, 6 days a week. I can't even begin to tell you how many thousands of people I talked to over the years because nobody else had any leadership skills. They all came in so fast. If you had 5,000 people coming on in 9 months, none of them were leaders. So we had to do it. So we had a really good teams. Um, Jolene would send me the picture for the recognition post. I would do the recognition post, do the training. Maureen would send that. She would do the recognition as far as a handwritten note. So, but I can also tell you at one of my trainings, one of the ladies who had a boss she didn't like, they were in the oil business in Texas. They were Russians and she said, these people aren't very nice to me at all, but they pay me well. And she said, um, and all of a sudden she was talking about recognition, but she said, what's really weird? She said, you know how many times I have done folded wash and put it away. You know how many times I've loaded a dishwasher and unloaded a dishwasher? I can't even begin to count. You know how many times thank you, mom, I got? Never. But this company, you people, every time I do something, you're saying thank you and you're saying congratulations. She was
Mm.
just overwhelmed. And the little gifts that we gave, it was like, oh my gosh, we made 10, 100 times over on that thing. And and the in the handwritten notes, we have people to this day have them all hung put on the wall because they were
Wow.
all different with their name on them. So maybe not everybody can do that, but you know what? Maureen did it all writing different notes without Chat GPT. Now you could do it easily. All right.
And I think again, it's just taking the essence out of that story. For people listening, it's yes, we're in this chapter of, the most successful businesses are going to be hybrid businesses, bringing together the high tech and the high touch. But if you take the essence, the fundamental principles of what you've just described, and think about how can I put that into my business? So people want to be acknowledged and appreciated. They want to have a place to belong. They want to feel, seen and heard, and they want to feel valuable. So that recognition piece is so
Yeah.
critical. And I think going back to the beginning of your story is look to people that are getting the success and figure it out, find out what those people are doing. And it might not always be comfortable to you, and it may not be, as you described, you weren't that profile of who you were looking for. So it wasn't going to make sense for you to sell those products on your social selling chapter of your business, but you could then position yourself as a mentor to those people. So it's about finding out what's working. And right now, there's no question that the universal story of Nu Skin, something that all of the leaders are really excited about, is Prism, and that story that, where Nu Skin's going with this. So, figure out what is that going to be? What is the success? How is the success coming? How can you get that high tech, high touch, and maximize your time many times over by using socials,
Mhm.
and then finding out how you can fit into that. What are the pillars? How do you become attractive to the people that you want to attract? Yeah, I love that.
Exactly. Exactly. And you just brought up a couple really good points. And um, well, let me ask you this. Most of the people who will be listening to this, are there people who've been on your team for a bit?
There's a real combination. Some people that are coming in quite new, and some people that have been involved for 20 years plus.
Well, this will go for whether you're a new person, but especially if you are been in the business for a while.
Mm,
I've really learned this over the decades, but it's become so crystal clear. And the question that I finally got answered is that why why do network marketing companies come and go in the business and then out? So many of them. And
mm,
then and there's a lot of different reasons, but there's one common. And then why do people fail in network marketing? Putting aside that the company is still in business, because some
yeah,
people fail because the company failed,
yeah.
but Nu Skin and other companies have been in business for 40 years, 20, 30, 40 years. Why do people fail in network marketing? um, why do they quit? What is the common thread? And there's one answer: they run out of people to talk to. They
Mm,
fish out their pond. As I shared with you earlier, everybody's got a pond in their backyard or your sphere of influence. I may have 200 really close friends before social. Now I got 3,000 plus, but I had I had, I had to put a list of 200 names. And maybe, Kirsty, you had 300 or 400, but, or now you have 2,000 or 5,000 on social. Eventually you will fish out that pond.
mm.
And that is, after a while, if I keep going to my neighbors over and over again, they're going to say, Buzz and Maureen are coming over again. Turn off the lights, don't answer the door. All right. So I know that, and we're all guilty of that. So the key to success is for people like me, like you. How do I find new people?
Yes, 100%.
And social enables you to do that, to make
Mm.
friends and talk to so many more people. But what we got good at it is by going out and meeting people and then asking, who do you know? Because if you didn't do that, your pond would eventually get smaller and smaller. So
Yes.
number one, figure out a way to continually add a new people. If you do that and you can master that art, you will never run out of people to talk to, because every person you talk to has 200 to 2,000, 5,000 friends. And then once you do that, then you've mastered the art of recruiting. I tell my team almost daily, I do a tip of the day, and I try to every day touch on you. If you are a member of New Skin and you just want to buy the product, we love you. If you want to buy the product and sell it to your mom and dad, your next door neighbor, and your best friend, we love you. You can do that. And you can have a little income coming in. But if you want to build a business, you've got to recruit, because there's no other way to build an income that will pay you, for the work that you've done years later. And there's only one way to do that, is find new people. And then how do you share the product or the business with them, but ultimately sharing the business. And if you can understand that it's about finding new people and then telling them about the business, your business will grow. But
Yeah.
people stop. And I've seen it in Kirsty, you've seen it. People who were so successful and then they stopped. It's almost like, I'm going to stop breathing. Or to me, I'm going to stop going to swim practice 5 days a week. I might as well die. What are the things that you do in your life that you just can't stop doing? Well, I can't stop talking to people about my product, now about my prism, about my business, about helping and serving other people. I can't stop talking. What do? I help other people. Help people what? I help them with their health and their finances. How do you do that? So you find the lines that fit for you, and watch the magic.
Amazing. I love that. That's really it in a nutshell, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
that's what defines the success that you have in the business, the success that Paul and I had in the business, is that we were just willing to get really good at recruiting and be really intentional about how you build your business. I love that. Thank you so much, Buzz. So, wow, well, that is a lot of fantastic, you know, points in there. I think I had, that's everything on my list. I think that was my last question here was, who are the kind of people that are having success in your team right now? Has that changed a bit? Let's finish on this. You initially, when the social selling days, purely social selling, you had your profile, you're 25 to 45, women with young
Mhm.
children, uh, you know, interesting but not silly, etc. Now, as we're evolving this hybrid, bringing the high touch and the high tech together, and really looking for leaders that are going to build with Prism and really build that healthy household
Mhm.
movement. Who are the people that are having, extraordinary success right now? Have you seen that shift? Is it broadened? Who are you attracting, and who would you be targeting right now?
Yeah. Well, it really is bringing on a different age group. It's also bringing on more men. Um, Over
Mm.
the last 9 years, we haven't brought on a lot of men.
Mhm.
If you look at the people, I mean, the people who have made Blue Diamonds and Team Elites and 4-star Platinum Team Elites, they were all women over the last 9 years. If you would go to a success trip, I mean, 90% of the people walking across stage were women, and most of the men walking across stage were the husband of the women
Yeah,
that were supporting their wives or
yeah,
significant others. So of course, those women are now starting to transition, and now they are able to talk to men. Now they can bring their husbands on, because their husbands are going to the gym. Their husbands, I want to talk about looking good, feeling good, but physically versus the skincare. This is something. Not to say that I don't use skincare. My bathroom's full of it. So, but it's not easy for a man to talk about his moisturizer where it is for a woman. But a man can talk about health and wellness and fitness and nutrition and supplements. So we're bringing on men now. And first off, I'm getting them on the product. I'm getting their number up. And now it's pretty magical what's happening. Whether I bring on the man, the father, or I bring on the mother, when their number goes up, they have to tell their spouse if they love them. And then what happens? I got to scan my children. And then it becomes a family almost contest. So I'm loving this part of it. It is the stories that we're seeing about a mom now bragging on their children and how thrilled she is about the health of their children is now measured. So um, so no, I'm again, I've got to work with these women and they're starting to figure it out. And you don't just turn the switch on. They have to learn how to do it and how they're learning by scanning themselves, scanning their spouses, scanning their children, and then telling that story through social. But now they're learning, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go have coffee with somebody and they sit down. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I love that. Well, once again, it's sort of getting the whole stadium, right? You're
That's
expanding
right.
who you get to talk to in the stadium. So
Exactly.
amazing. Oh, that's just fantastic. Thank you so much for your, incredible insights. So yeah, well, maybe, down the track we'll have you on again and see if we can get some more tips on specific, systems of socials. But for now, thank you so much. And
Um,
congratulations. I did just see your last post with all your medals. You feel
yeah,
lot.
that was Saturday and Sunday. Yes, it was pretty unbelievable. But you know what? I give it all to New Skin, Pharmanex, nutrition. I mean,
Mm,
you can't compete and beat other people if you don't have an edge. In mine, and it's not
yeah,
even a secret. You know the products I'm talking about. So,
yeah,
all right. Well,
yeah.
thank you for asking me
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. Oh no, thank
Okay.
you. And yeah, love to, Maureen, and we'll see you somewhere on a great beach in the world.
I'm sure. Say hello to Paul. Okay.
I will. Thanks, Buzz.